You've heard this thunder before. At the controls, here's Kirk Wicker flying Aurora in the front cockpit. Wingwalker extraordinaire, Jane Wicker. We are now going to roll the clock back and visit the golden age of aviation. Jane Wicker is about to demonstrate the daring and breathtaking art of wingwalking. Not just wingwalking, folks, this is the real thing. She is going to amaze you by climbing, walking, and hanging all over her beautiful 450 horsepower Stearman she considers her personal time machine. Coming around from the right. Now look to your right as the airplane approaches show center. Right now, Jane is grabbing hold of the top wing and standing up in the front cockpit. With no safety line and no parachute, watch carefully and you will see her climbing up onto the top wing. As she flies by, make sure you wave. She may not be able to hear you, but she can sure see you as she waves back. Now for the record, right now, Jane Wicker, that is the only piece of safety equipment that she has during her entire routine. She is buckled onto that stanchion on the top wing, and that's it. There is no other safety equipment that she can safely use during her act. She is way too low for a parachute to be any good. And besides, you wouldn't want to wear it out in that slipstream anyway, because if it accidentally deployed, you'd have a very bad day. So Jane Wicker does this, and she tells me the secret to this is two things. One, practice. Lots of practice. And here's the other thing that's important. 3 points of contact. Either both feet and one hand, or both hands at 1 foot. Good. At all times. Come on, Eddie, stop stepping on your tongue here. All right, from the right, diving in at 150 miles per hour. Listen to the growl of the Pratt & Whitney 450 horsepower engine. Here they come. Jane Wicker, her super Stearman she affectionately calls Aurora. Sit back and hold your breath as you are about to see something you've never seen before. Oh yeah, she's hanging onto the top wing right now. She's belted into that stanchion. That's 1/2 of the Cuban 8. Stand by. Oh yeah. She's got the best seat in eyes. Arms up, coming over the top. 500 horsepower pulling Aurora through the sky. Yeah, it gets more intense, trust me. Back onto the vertical once again. Here comes that rudder kick. This is the hammerhead. Oh yeah. Back to straight 11 knots along coming up. Here we go. Upside down, totally weightless on the attached on the top wing. Around the controls of Aurora. Yeah, that's right. She's got her ex-husband out there, but that's okay. As they say, it's water under the bridge. And stall turn coming back in from the right. Jane Wicker up there having a good time. Whoa, Daddy! Now I gotta tell you, I could not do this. There is no way I would climb out onto the wing of that airplane while it was in flight. Just isn't gonna happen. And here's why. Because I'd be screaming so loud on that top wing that I would slow the airplane down. And speaking of slowing the airplane down, watch as Jane grabs hold of flying wires and struts. She is not only fighting the enormous wind, but has to step very cautiously in order not to break the delicate rib structure or step through the fabric. Balls of her feet. She is on a 100-mile-an-hour trip. Oh, look at that, a photo pass. Jane and her photo pass. I hope you got that. I jumped a step. Okay, watch as Jane grabs a hold of the flying wires and struts and climbs down. She is not only fighting the enormous wind, but has to step very cautiously in order not to break the delicate rib structure or step through the fabric. Walking on just a 1-inch wing spar on the balls of her feet, she is now on a 100-mile-an-hour balance beam. She has worked her way to the center of the wing and is now laying on the flying wires on the seat. Now that does look like fun, and you can see Kirk Wicker's getting close to the trees there, as I just saw the shadow of Aurora on the trees. 550 horsepower. Once again, the majority of the sound that you're hearing off this airplane, they are the propeller tips as they go supersonic. The low, throaty rumble you hear as the airplane goes by you, that's the actual sound of the engine. I'm a big fan of that rumble, by the way, too. Coming in from the right on the javelin strut, here's Jane Wicker on Aurora. Let's change your position a little bit. Here we go. She's weightless up at the top there. The only thing that's keeping her on this airplane is 3 points of contact and one heck of a grip. Weightless right about there. You know, and the other part that's important too is Kirk Wicker. He's on the controls of Aurora. Otherwise, Jane Wicker gets a pretty rough ride. This is very physically demanding, ladies and gentlemen. Takes a lot of strength to be able to do wing walking such as Jane Wicker is doing right now. Coming around from the right, they're going to dive down, get a little more airspeed going here right now. She's going, woo-hoo! Smoke is on. Keep your eyes for the aileron roll, starting now. Remember, no parachute, no tethers, no hooks, no loops, no nothing. Zero safety equipment while she is out there on the wing of this airplane. This is all strictly through practice and force of grip. Now Jane has worked her way to the end of the airplane and is waving, well, she's going to wave from the end strut. You're wondering why they call it an end strut? Next time the airplane goes by, look at it. It's a big N. Now, even in slow flight, they're out there doing 80 miles an hour. Those of you who ride motorcycles without a fairing, well, I'm sure you've felt what an 80 mile an hour wind is like. Well, imagine standing up and not having a whole lot to grab onto. From the right, here's Jane Wicker out on that end strut. Let's wave as she goes by, everybody. There she is. She's waving. Let's all wave back. Once again, notice the shadow on the trees. This next move is the most dangerous, the most thrilling, and the most unique of any wing walk act in the world. Jane Wicker is the only one who's doing this. She is changing positions on the airplane. Her husband, Kirk, at the controls. Excuse me, ex-husband. Coming in from the right. Jane has her ankles securely wrapped around the end strut and is about to drop beneath the airplane. Get your cameras ready. Here she goes, ladies and gentlemen, hanging inverted from the end strut. Let's all wave at Jane Wicker. Oh my. And then she pulls herself back up. Tremendous strength required to fight an 80-mile-an-hour breeze while pulling yourself up. Ladies and gentlemen, get those cameras ready once again. You don't want to miss this. This is the moment you have to see to believe. Diving in from the left at 150 miles an hour while hanging by her ankles. Jane is about to get a view that no one else in the world gets to see. Hang on to your underwear, everybody. It's the inverted pass. Let's all wave at Jane. One moment she's hanging underneath the airplane, the next moment she's on top of the airplane. As we in the air show business say, oh my. Here comes the fun part. She's got herself, get herself back up onto the wing of that airplane, which she has done. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not taking pictures, I want you to grab your hat, grab your program, whatever you got. Let's all wave at Jane Wicker as she goes by. She's climbing back into the cockpit. And there's the wave, everybody. Let's all wave back to Jane Wicker. They're calling for one more pass. Get your cameras and camcorders, your iPads, your iPhones, your smartphones, your pad and pencil, your watercolor set, whatever it is that you've got out here with you today. They're going to do one more photo pass. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, all good ends must come to a thing. All good ends must, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Time to land. Now, just for the record, those of you who are big fans of Jane Wicker, such as myself, Jane Wicker has t-shirts down there as well. So feel free after the show to go on down there to talk to Jane Wicker and get yourself an official Jane Wicker Wingwalk t-shirt. And by the way, Jane says that she would like to thank the gods of weather today for giving her such a warm day. When she was here last year, she had to wear 3 layers of thermal underwear, including Under Armour, to be able to get out there and not freeze herself to death. Kirk Wicker just called up and said something funny, and I can't tell it to you, but trust me, it's funny.